Hey guys, and welcome back to the Cardboard Critics podcast here at the Hollywood Rips studio. We got a juicy one ahead for you guys this week. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Hollywood, and that's the Joe Bro to my right, coming at you for episode 9. Hard to believe this is the first episode, I think, of the third month officially today. But what's going on in the world of sports and sports cards? We're talking Mahomes, Wemby, Tom Brady, Connor Bedard, Gunnar Henderson, and more this week. But we're going to start off with some major hobby news. We're moving hobby news up in the schedule recently. This one's kind of a wild one, wild one to me. Apparently, criminals are using CT scanners in order to see inside of boxes of cards. Now, this can only be done with the higher end stuff, and we're particularly talking about stuff like this. This is, of course, flawless. This has no cards in it. But as most of you guys know, these boxes of flawless cost $15,000, and they have they have individual cards in them. Yeah. And we'll throw it up on the screen now, so that you guys can see kind of what these CT scanners are looking for. But they're able to detect which cards have the one-of-one logo mans or the NFL shields. Obviously a big deal. The card market has become such a valuable, there's so much money going around that criminals are finding ways to continue to cheat the system. This is I'll give it to them, this is a very creative one.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? CT scanners.
It's it's cheating, right?
Yeah.
Like half the fun is you buy something and you sort of hope for the best, right? I guess my question is, how are they shorting the system? So if they buy one of those, they have to buy it first, right? Or are they somewhere where they're laid out and it's like, pick your box?
So I think the issue is we're talking more about breakers.
Okay.
That say have 100 boxes of this stuff.
That's what I figured. Yeah. So it takes away the thrill. And I know there's a monetary aspect, and I know a lot of it is sort of like the stock market of the whole thing, like get it high, sell it, this, that, whatever, or get it low, sell it high, see if you can get that right box. But at the end of the day, it's still your hobby. It's still sort of like a kid's game, if you will. Mm-hmm. And it's still the youthful exuberance and the joy of oh my God, I got the box before the box. That was it's
right.
That's, I don't know. That's lame. You're lame. Hate you.
Yeah, it's lame, but I have to look. This is really only for
the money for a CT scanner. You've got the money to just buy the boxes.
So apparently CT scanners are quite cheap. Apparently people are getting them for less than $1,000, and that's why this is a problem.
Oh, never mind.
But it's only the super high end that's an issue. But in the past, we've had boxes where you could tell what's inside as kind of like a mistake. And what have they done? They've gone out and fixed it. So I have no reservations that Panini, Topps, they will go out and they will wrap these cards in some sort of material where you cannot see, even with, say, a CT scanner. So I don't think it's necessarily as big of an issue, but we'll see going forward. But we're going to move into our MLB update for this week. Surprise, surprise, the Houston Astros now lead the AL West.
We knew it.
And on top of that, Julio Rodriguez today smashed into the center field wall. Yes. It is an ankle injury. We do not know the extent yet, but if the Mariners lose their only good bat, realistically, in the lineup, it's looking like the Astros could be running away with that division. What else is going on? Well, the Orioles actually goes this way.
Yeah.
+2 on the Yankees. Cleveland +5. Philly +7.5. The Brewers up 5. And the Dodgers up 7 after sweeping the Red Sox. Might be a little more after the win today. But the trade deadline's heating up. We've gotten a lot of reports on Crochet, on Skubal, on Luis Robert, on Randy Arozarena. What's tickling your fancy in the baseball world?
What's tickling my ivories? And by the way, the Dodgers are up by 8 games now after their win on Sunday Night Baseball. Speaking of Sunday Night Baseball, I'm gonna run with the theme that I heard talked about on the broadcast. Kind of what we've been doing on the show lately. Wyatt Langford was on our on our list as the day he hit for the cycle. So I kind of want to run with my sort of wild card focused team, which is the Boston Red Sox. And I was watching them over this weekend series, and I basically thought to myself, outside of Rafael Devers and Jarren Duran, the All-Star Game MVP, this lineup is wildly whatever. Like, it does nothing for me. Nothing about it screams contender. And I know the deal with the wild card and what we've seen the last few years is get into the dance and go from there.
Right.
They have the pitching. Cutter Crawford's been very good up until today when he got blown up. Tanner Houck has been an ace type of pitcher and an all-star.
Absolutely.
And so I think the Red Sox are in a really weird spot. After their loss today, they drop out of a wild card spot. They're one game back of the Royals, go figure. And are they sellers? Well, the only pieces they really have to give up are the swollen Canadian Tyler O'Neill or Kenley Jansen, who's had a renaissance here out of the bullpen.
Did you know that Tyler O'Neill's dad was a bodybuilder?
He was Mr. Olympia. Yes, I have heard that. Tyler Swole Neal, as I like to call him. So they don't really have pieces to sell, but yet, look, they go to Denver, a series they should win, but you never know what's going to happen. I don't even think they know what they're going to do. Like, it's a day-to-day, and how the Red Sox feel today after being swept, honestly, is probably going to be different than how they feel in 3 days' time after the Rocky series. They're a really weird team to keep an eye on.
I think so. And I think it kind of also depends, really, what trade chips do you have, depending on the team. You know, I think the Red Sox have a lot of good young talent, but it is already in the MLB for the most part. They do have a few other guys in AAA and AA, but I still think that the Orioles, the Dodgers, the Phillies have more to trade in terms of trying to go out and get some help at the deadline.
I barely even realized that they're in shouting distance of the division. They're only 6.5 back, which is not, unheard of. So I didn't even realize that. So that's why they're in such a weird spot, in my opinion.
Right. So we're going to move into our card market update for this week. The SCI Top 500 Index was up 0.7% over the past week, so a pretty good week overall for the top 500 big cards out there. Moving into baseball, 2018 to 2020, the Ohtani Acuna rookie years, that was down 3%. With 1990 to 1999 cards up 1.4%, and notably 60 to 79 cards saw a 2.2% push upwards in the past week's market as well. To the hardwood, basketball was down nearly across the board this past week as we get further into the offseason, so not really a surprise here. 18 to 20, 10 to 17, 2000 to 09, the 80s and the 86 Fleer set all down over the past week. And of course, we're quickly approaching football season. And you know what that means? That means the football card market is starting to heat up. 2018 to 2020, that is up 1.4%. 2010 to 17, up 2.3%. 2000 to 2009, that's Tom Brady's rookie year in 2000 we're talking about. That was up a staggering 15%. We'll talk about why later. With the 80s up 0.5% and 79 and older up 15% as well. So it was a big week for football cards as we head into the National next weekend. Of course, the biggest sports card convention in the world. But what cards have been driving markets this week? First, on our hot cards of the week, it is the 2017 Donruss Optic rated rookie of none other than Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes in a PSA 9 and a PSA 10. But the PSA 9 is up 12.4% in the past week. The last sale was $520. The PSA 10 was up 5%. The last sale was $1,120. Patrick Mahomes has always been a hot card for the most part since he exploded onto the scene in 2018, I think it was. Obviously winning his third Super Bowl last year with the Chiefs. If you look at his numbers compared with Tom Brady's numbers at the same age, he is actually ahead of pace of Brady in every statistical category, meaning he's ahead of Brady's Super Bowl pace, which is crazy to say. But he's ahead of Brady's Super Bowl pace. He's on pace to throw more yards than Brady. He's on pace to throw more touchdowns than Brady, more completions than Brady. And I think he's thrown less picks, too.
Probably.
I think the QBR is higher, too. So Patrick Mahomes, this rated rookie in a PSA 910, $500, $1,100 for, at this point, I'd say arguably, he's either the second or third best quarterback of all time if he were to stop playing today. I think people would argue that Joe Montana is better if he were to stop playing today. That's why I'd probably put him at 3. That's my opinion. But that being said, what are your thoughts on Patty Mahomes?
Sucks.
He's not a Chiefs fan.
No.
Clearly.
Look, it actually doesn't surprise me one bit that he's got better stats than Brady through this point, because the second he became the starter taking over for Alex Smith, all he's done is put up video game numbers. And so, like, we know about the cannon arm. I don't need to... Everything that's been said about Patrick Mahomes up to this point has been said. I'll say this. We were lucky to grow up in an era with Tom Brady. You know, Peyton Manning was probably the best, like, robo pocket QB.
Signal caller.
Yes, signal caller I've ever seen.
Yeah.
We grew up with Brett Favre, who I always thought was, like, a little overrated as the gunslinger. Drew Brees, you know, in terms of his ability to read the game. And then to me, obviously to me, Peyton set the standard of, like, the traditional, like, camp QB. Brady's obviously the ultimate winner. But to me, the best physical QB I'd ever seen was Aaron Rodgers. The ability to throw on the run, the feet, the quick release, the cannon arm, obviously the ability to read the game. To me, Aaron Rodgers put together all the physical attributes, and I don't really know what held him back from winning more, which is a weird thing to say, other than him being a weirdo.
But at the end of the day, what do people remember?
Super Bowls. Yeah, he's only got the one. And I bring that up because we're now at the point where Patrick Mahomes is by far more physically talented than Aaron Rodgers or anyone I've ever seen. And he's combining that with, obviously, an incredible work ethic. It's the perfect marriage with Andy Reid, and he's phenomenal.
Would you buy this card? Say $500. If I had it, I don't. If I had that card in my hand right now, would you buy it for $500?
Well, he's a guaranteed Hall of Famer, so that'll only go up as the years go on. He'll probably make 8 more AFC Championship games because that's all he does. I mean, truly, it's remarkable that he just played his first ever road AFC Championship game. That's how good the Chiefs have been in the Mahomes era.
Yeah.
He'll probably win at least one more Super Bowl. Health-related. So, yeah, I would probably buy that if I was, like, wheeling and dealing in that sort of world.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think it's I think it's still a reasonable get-in price on Patrick Mahomes at the end of the day.
Of all people, like the best athlete going right now, you know, give or take. Yeah.
And I think as he gets older, it'll really be a scenario where the Chiefs just need to continue to put weapons around him as he gets older to kind of help soften the blow of him, say, starting to lose his legs a little bit, because he does have the ability to scamper around a little bit.
But it's being curtailed each year.
Right. But we're going to move into our second hot card of the week, and it's the 2023 Prism Silver. We talk about this guy like at least once a month.
I think it's every other week.
But it's Spurs rookie center Victor Wembanyama.
Never heard of him.
His PSA 10 Silver is up 20% over the past month, pushing $1,100 a card. It was $850 or $895 a month ago. I think we talked, so the last time, I think we talked about this, we did. But the last time we talked about Wemby, I think we kind of had the consensus that these cards would keep going down and they would kind of bottom out, say, end of July, beginning of August, when the basketball season is truly in the middle of the dead period. But what happened? Chris Paul decides to sign with the San Antonio Spurs.
Sure.
And so what happened? Well, kind of overnight, Wemby's card market took off again. And so I had projected that this was going to happen, say, a month from now. But because of Chris Paul going there, which, take it for what it is. Chris Paul really hasn't won anywhere that he's gone.
No, he hasn't.
But almost all of Wemby's cards have seen a 10 to 20% increase now in the past few weeks. I'm talking, the Kabooms, the Prisms, like almost everything up about 10 to 20%. What are your thoughts on, we have an $1,100 silver PSA 10 Wemby. This is about the same price now as Luka's silver rookie card. His is like $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
So, care to elaborate? Make some sense of $1,100 for Wemby, $1,200 for Luka. What are your thoughts?
Well, Chris Paul is one factor, but I think you're leaving out one other thing that's about to take place, and that's the Olympics. Victor Wembanyama is about to take the floor as an Olympian for the first time. And I went into my notes about to say, because I took a look at the roster for the French national team. He's right there. I was like, oh, the French have a pretty good team. Then I re-looked at their roster, and I was like, no. But what they might have is a pretty good defensive team between Wembanyama, the Stifle Tower, Rudy Gobert, and of course Nicolas Batum, who's been playing great wing defense for about a decade now.
God, I feel like it's more.
It probably is just about. They also have Frank Ntilikina, who's fine. The rest of them are all journeyman basketball players. But I do think there's an Olympic surge going on because people are seeing him back on the court.
Yeah.
And I think they're being reminded, oh yeah.
That's a good point.
That guy's kind of a weirdo and a freak.
But do you think, if you have the option, if I handed you $1,100 today...
All these hypotheticals.
Yeah, well, we got to talk about it.
Sure.
Would you buy this isn't a silver, but would you buy Wemby or would you buy Doncic?
1,100.
If I just handed both of them to you and I said pick one, which one are you taking?
Doncic versus Wemby?
Yeah.
That's really tough.
It's tough, right?
Because they're both young. Because Doncic is not old by any means.
No, and he just got Klay Thompson to help out.
Who's done. But in all likelihood.
In all likelihood, yeah.
But you've said the stats, and we've gone over the Wembayama probabilities. Like, $1,100, I'm going to go with the potential.
Okay.
And that's me also acknowledging that Luka Doncic is only going to get better from an already stratospheric ability.
So you like Wemby?
I love him. Like I said, at worst, he's going to be one of the best defensive players we've ever seen.
Yeah, worse. That's the floor.
Yeah.
His floor is probably 25 points.
Yeah.
12 rebounds and 4 or 5 blocks a game. That's probably the floor.
It's just tough to say because we've just never seen. He's taller than Rudy Gobert. Like the pictures of the French national team were shocking.
Yeah.
Because he's taller than Rudy Gobert, who is a physical. I don't know how we have the same DNA relatively.
Right. I'm with you.
You agree?
I agree. I think Wemby's ceiling is just way too high. Even if Doncic wins a championship and say that card's worth $2,000, Wemby has the potential to be one of the best 5 players of all time. I don't know I can say the same about Luka. And so if you're gonna spend that amount of money, I say put it on the guy who has the higher ceiling.
Would you say he could be one of the best players of all time, whereas Doncic could be one of the best players of his era?
Of his generation, yeah. I think so. I just think defensively that limits Luka's upside realistically
that's a good point.
as an all-time great.
In the flip side, defensive ability, yeah.
Right. But we do have a third hot card of the week this week, and we touched on it briefly. That 2000 to 2009 football card sector was up 15% in the past week, and it's Tom Brady's 2000 Bowman Chrome rookie card. In a BGS 9.5, it was up 22% over the past week. $38.50 was the last sale, not $38.50. That's $3,850. The PSA 10 was up 26%, 26.9% actually over the past week. $10,000 was the last recorded sale of the card. It was an $8,000 card just a few weeks ago. Of course, Tom Brady 7-time Super Bowl champ, 5-time Super Bowl MVP, 3-time NFL MVP, leads the NFL all-time in pass yards, completions, touchdowns, you name it. He will be making his broadcasting debut for Fox in week 1 of the NFL season this September, so that's exciting. I'm not 100% sure why that PSA 10 sold for 10 G's, being it was, an $8,000 card before. It's a little... I don't know if it might have been an outlier sale or just someone who just had to have it that day or But, and again, Tom Brady cards, look, Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes rookie card we talked about, and the PSA 10 is about $1,100. Tom Brady now sitting in a PSA 10, $10,000, okay? Is Patrick Mahomes worth a tenth of Tom Brady?
Yes.
You think he is?
Right now? Yes, with everything that we just listed. I don't want to go back 2 conversations ago. But yes, I mean, he's already the most dominant force in America's most popular sport.
Yeah.
He's reached the point where Brady was at where, even if the Chiefs are down 24-0 in the first quarter, you're like, well, they're going to win.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
That's very true.
Is Patrick Mahomes worth a tenth of Tom Brady? Yeah, he's probably worth slightly more than that, to be honest. Look, my only take from what you just said is that Tom Brady stepping into a booth that people already think very highly of.
Yeah.
The Greg Olsen, Kevin Burkhardt booth, I think, is actually one of the better ones out there. And we have no idea what Tom Brady's going to be like in the booth. So maybe get your cards now before he steps into the booth behind the microphone. May not be that good.
Well, I find it interesting because we all know Tom Brady is going to make more broadcasting football than he ever made in a single season playing in his entire career.
Even the Tampa
playing
years?
Football.
I know he famously took pay cuts.
Yeah, he did.
In New England. But I thought the whole thing was he went to Tampa to get his worth.
He is making more in this Fox contract than he made in all of his NFL earnings combined.
Can I make I know this isn't necessarily about Tom Brady, but have you ever turned on an NFL game for the broadcasting duo?
No. Yes.
You have?
Yes. I think early on when the Manning brothers started to
The Manning cast, but that's a different broadcast.
Yeah, it's a different one.
But it blows my mind that Tony Romo, Troy Aikman, Tom Brady, these guys are making Troy Aikman left ESPN because he didn't feel respected by Fox. And the broadcast team makes a difference, sure.
Right.
But I've never been oh, it's Raiders versus Titans. I gotta hear Greg Gumbel today.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. It blows my mind that he's gonna make that much for the. I mean,
yeah.
Whatever. It's not mine. If they think it's worth it at Century City, then who am I to say?
I think Brady's rookie card, if you're a true sports card collector, I think it's a no-brainer that you have to have this card in your collection. And honestly, in a PSA 9, this is not that expensive of a card. It's probably a $2,000 card. So when you think about it that way, you can pick up a 2000 Tom Brady rookie in a PSA 9 for $2,000. You pick up a Mahomes for $1,100 in a PSA 10. I think you're looking pretty good, in my opinion.
And it'll only go up because he's going to go into the Hall.
Yeah, exactly. So those are our hot cards of the week. But of course, we do have cold. For every Glenda the good witch, there's a wicked witch of the West. For every chocolate lava cake with vanilla ice cream, a gluten-free zucchini cake. Although I've had a couple zucchini cakes, they're actually decent.
I feel like that was right up your alley, actually.
No. And for every Articuno, what a majestic bird.
Beautiful.
A ditto. What a poser.
Literally.
Here are this week's cold cards of the week, starting with, well, I don't want to say we told you so. I'm just going to put a one-liner in here. Reese Hines, who we talked about last week.
Light tower power, a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah. Coming down big time to earth. We had someone comment on our show last week, and they wrote something along the lines like, "Oh, it's not Reese Hines. His name is Reese Aquino." I don't know if you remember Aristides Aquino.
I do.
When he hit 7 homers in his first 5 days.
I do.
Something.
The Punisher, yeah.
Yeah. So, not to say we told you so, but
we do love to.
But the first Cold card of the week is Chicago Blackhawks center Connor Bedard. His 2023 O-Pee-Chee marquee rookies down 15%. His Upper Deck Young Guns Raw and PSA 10 down 7.9% and 6.8% respectively. Of course, Connor Bedard, this is old news now, but Upper Deck Series 2 released, and the one-of-one Connor Bedard Young Guns, David Adams put out a $1 million bounty on this card. That bounty is still up. The card has not been pulled.
Really?
So we are still searching for this card. The boxes are only like $220 or something like that. So it's not like a horribly priced product. But what did Connor Bedard do in his rookie season? He scored 22 goals. That was good for 106th in the league. I know it doesn't sound impressive, but for a 19-year-old, that's pretty impressive. He had 39 assists, 61 total points, plus minus was minus 44, although that's mostly attributed to the Blackhawks just not being as strong a team as usual. He played 68 games. Let's compare his rookie season with Connor McDavid's. Connor McDavid scored 16 goals. Okay, so McDavid 16 goals, Bedard 22 goals. McDavid 32 assists, Bedard 39 assists. McDavid 48 points, Bedard 61 points. Now Bedard played 68 games? 68 games. McDavid only played 45 games. They were both 19 when they debuted. This card is now down 15 or so percent. The Superfractor one-of-one hasn't been hit. The talent is clearly there on paper. Connor Bedard is going to be an absolute phenom in the NHL.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's doubting that. Obviously, hockey just ended. Stanley Cup just finished. Panthers won it. So we are into the first few weeks now of the hockey offseason, which means whenever a sport's not playing, that's when the cards are cheapest, is now the time to buy Connor Bedard.
100%. Because when you first sent me this, I was shocked because this is the future and the face of the NHL, and they did everything they could, I assume, to get him in Chicago for him to be a Blackhawk. I was like, what kind of year did Bedard have? I knew he was solid, but I also knew that he missed a lot of time due to injury. He put up the numbers that you just said, and by the way, the numbers that you just mentioned led all rookies.
Yeah.
The goals and the points led all rookies. And he did that after suffering a broken jaw. Yes. He was going to be an all-star. He still ended up winning the Calder Trophy as the Rookie of the Year. He is that good. He missed, I believe it's 14 games, right? He played 68 of 82 games with a broken jaw. He sustained a bit of a controversy. I believe the rumors were that Corey Perry was having a bit of a thing with his mother. And then he got shipped out. You don't mess with our teenage superstar, Corey.
No.
Get out of here. And so he dealt with all that. And still,
Although it worked out well for Perry.
Yeah, he made it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
But he still ended up winning, like I said, Rookie of the Year, the Calder Trophy, and led all rookies in goals and points. He's got silky mitts. He's got lightning quick speed. He's a star.
Yeah, I think Bedard is a buy, absolutely, as well. Moving on to our second cold card of the week, and it's the 2019 Bowman Draft Chrome first prospect autograph card in a PSA 10 of Gunnar Henderson, of course, of the Baltimore Orioles. It's down 14% over the past 2 weeks. The last sale was $1,100, down from closer to $1,300 just a couple weeks ago. Gunnar Henderson, so far in 2024, he's hit .289, 28 homers, that's third in baseball, with 63 RBIs, 14 stolen bases, and a .954 OPS. That's sixth overall, so an amazing year for Gunnar. But over the last couple weeks, it's been modest, moderate. Hasn't been good, hasn't been horrible. 11 for 41, 286 OBP, only just the one homer and 3 RBIs, but we also had several days off for the All-Star break, so you know, what can you say there? But this is now $1,100 a card. Of course, this is up from the beginning of the season. The beginning of the season, this was like a $400 or $500 card. You know, like somewhere between $300 and $500, I think. It's now down to $1,100. What are your thoughts?
I mean, still get in on Gunnar Henderson. I know the overall numbers are superstar level, but it's masking a bit of a slump. I just think people didn't love his home run derby performance. 11 home runs and then a first round exit. Oh well.
Yeah.
Get it while people are down on him, because the numbers you just read off overall, 289, 28 home runs, and a 954 OPS, which to me is one of the more valuable stats now in baseball we have going.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's superstar level.
Yeah, it is. I personally do not think you should buy this card at $1,100. And the reason is because I would be buying someone else's card. And the person whose card that I would be buying is who we're going to talk about now in our Invest segment.
That's the transition.
The 2016 Bowman Chrome First Prospect Autograph of Juan Soto in a PSA 9 is down 20% over the past 2 months. $985 was the last sale. It was a $1,200 card a couple of months ago. What has Juan Soto done? He is hitting .303. That's 10th in the league. He has 23 homers. That is 6th in the league. 66 RBIs. That is 9th in the league. And we talked OPS before. His OPS is over 1,000. Just barely. But
that's still unbelievable.
It's insane.
Yeah.
His OPS over 1,000, and somehow that's still only good enough for third.
Was it Judge and Ohtani?
I think it's Judge and Ohtani. Yeah. So go figure. But, of course, Juan Soto is in a contract year.
Right.
You have to keep in mind that, so Gunnar Henderson, you can pay $1,100 for a Gunnar Henderson Bowman First Prospect Autograph in a PSA 10. You can pay $1,100 for it right now.
Sure.
Or you can go out and pay $985 for a Juan Soto First Bowman autograph. Granted, it's a PSA 9, okay? But
okay.
The other thing you got to keep in mind is Juan Soto he's 25 years old. What Gunnar is doing is, sure, it's impressive. He's young, he's still a kid. But Juan Soto has been doing this now for like half a decade or more, right?
Yeah.
Juan Soto has 200 homers. I think it's either on the it's a little, or no, he's going to finish this year having hit 200 homers. He will eclipse the 200 home run mark this year as long as he stays healthy. Just to keep in mind, Ohtani has 200 home runs as a 30-year-old. So Soto's got 5 years on him. He's won a World Series, right?
Yes.
I think your money is better spent on the Soto card. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are you set me up to fail. Yeah, obviously I'm taking Juan Soto over Gunnar Henderson. This isn't even hyperbole. He's the Ted Williams of our generation.
Yeah.
You said half a decade. He's been doing it longer than that because he won his World Series in 2019, and he was already an established part of their lineup.
It's crazy. So he was like 20 years old.
Yeah. Like, he's only 25, and Gunnar Henderson's what, 21, 22?
I want to say he's a little older. You can keep talking. I'll look it up.
So, thank you. So, yeah, Juan Soto is older, but like Gunnar Henderson doesn't necessarily have the whole age thing. He doesn't have Juan Soto beat on that to an extreme measure.
He's 23.
Okay,
so he's young.
He's
but
very
still,
young.
He's not going to hit 150 homers in 2 years.
No, look, Juan Soto he has the best eye for the strike zone in baseball.
Yep.
He and Max Muncy. And then he provides that with incredible power. Here's what I think is going to happen. And this is why you get in on Juan Soto now. It's because he lives for the big moment, as we saw in 2019.
Yeah.
And anytime he's ever been in the spotlight. I think the Yankees will obviously go to the playoffs. I don't know if they'll be division winners or not. I think he will have an excellent playoffs. I don't know if Judge will necessarily, but I think the rest of the lineup will do nothing.
Yeah.
I think Soto will look unbelievable, sort of like a Monet, right, surrounded by nothing but poop.
Right.
And then with that happening, his value will only go up because people will again realize how amazing he is. And he'll get an enormous contract, and he'll be fast-tracked into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
So, yeah, obviously I'm going with the Soto scenario.
Do they re-sign him?
Yes, he was born for the Bronx.
He was.
They cannot afford to let him go.
What do you think the number is? 10 and what?
475.
475. I think it's well into the fives.
If he has the playoffs that I'm talking about, but I think they lose in the first round.
I think he's going to be a $550 million man. That's just my opinion. But that'll wrap things up for us
I
here.
was being a little it's just hard for me to conceive a baseball player who doesn't even pitch also
That's
getting
That's
that.
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that'll wrap things up for us here at the Hollywood Rip Studio. Thanks for joining us for episode 9 of the Cardboard Critics podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, we'd appreciate if you could like, comment, and subscribe down below so that we can continue to grow the channel. And in the future, you need to be subscribed to participate in our giveaways down the road. So from both of us here at Hollywood Rips, we'll see you right back here next week. Mr. Hollywood, out.